Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to do some brush cutting on a big hunting property. Now the first few acres, as you can see here, are just tall grass and small saplings and stuff like that, but we ended up getting into some really thick stuff that is over the 4-inch diameter material that this brush cutter is rated for. So, unlike a lot of my videos that have been all time-lapse or fast-forward video, today we're going to do a lot of real-time stuff to show what this machine can and cannot handle. So what you see me cutting right now is basically uncharted territory, as I'm trying to find my way back to a clearing that I brush cut last year with the tractor, and I'm a little bit lost. I think it's straight ahead, but I'm not sure. Now, most of you already know this, but if you're new here, the machine I'm running is a John Deere 325G. So that part was a little bit sketchy because I'm basically just pushing through brush that's so tall I can't tell what's in front of me. And I'm just hoping and trusting the property owner that I'm not going to drive off and an embankment or something like that, or run into a big rock pile. But it all worked out. And I got into this open clearing, which was obviously the easiest mowing of the day. And this is where I stopped last year, and the tractor was overheating, and I started taking a leaf blower with me to clean out the radiator. And that's probably a good idea with the skid loader too, but I didn't think to do it. Now, you'll see me leaving some trees here, small stuff that I could easily push over, and that's because that's how they want it left. As far as pushing through the big stuff, the biggest surprise I had was how easily this skid loader was pushing those trees over. And once they were on the ground, it did a decent job of chopping them up, but clearly it's not a mulcher. Now, if I did have one of those Lofness mulchers that I tried out a while back, I would have just shredded through all that. And the difference is what you leave behind. This is leaving big chunks and sometimes a whole section of the trunk. That clearing was kind of a sight line that's really close to their deer stands. And now I'm working out away from the stands and just cutting trails in a couple of random spots and out towards a clearing. Because what happens is, if they have a wounded animal that they have to track, they lose them in all this thick overgrowth. And like I said earlier, they're not wanting it cleared. They just want to be able to get around and do some tracking. I've got another video of my trip out here last year with the tractor. And in that video, I mentioned that on thick material, I like to drive forward because I figure anything that the bucket will push over, I can go ahead and hit with the brush cutter. And it's kind of similar with this on the skid loader, with the difference being that the skid loader can push over a lot bigger material. And the front edge of this brush cutter is built so heavy, I don't see any way I would ever bend it. Now, this brush cutter is rated for a 4-inch tree. If you really think about it, a 4-inch tree is pretty darn big. And after I ordered this, I found out that they made one that's rated for an 8-inch tree. And I was kind of thinking I wish I would have got that. But man, I'm not sure that I want to cut an 8-inch tree with a rotary cutter. If you're doing stuff that big, you need a mulcher. And I know mulchers are in a different price range, but I'm hoping to end up with one at some point, because you could just wreak havoc with it on this property. They told me there was another big clearing in this direction, and that's what I'm looking for right now. As you can see right here, when you're pushing over the really tall stuff, it just lays down and doesn't chop it up unless you go over it 3 or 4 times. So that's what I'm doing right now. And for the most part, if I drove over it and then backed up over it and then drove over it one more time, that would do a pretty good job even on the really tall stuff. So I was out here for a few hours and I cut a lot of trails and I was really happy with the results of it. But I think I've shown enough that you guys get the idea. Okay, so we're back from the brush cutting. I got my best helper here. He just drove the mini excavator for the first time. Now you've drove a mini excavator.
Yeah.
You've drove a tractor.
Yeah.
And you drove a skid steer.
Yeah.
Which one of those, if you could only have one, which one's your favorite?
The skid steer.
Skid steer. That's my guy. They're all pretty cool though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which one's the fastest?
The skid steer and the tractor.
Yeah, the Mini X is kind of slow, but it's got the longest arm.
Yeah.
All right, hey, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. We'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos. And
I'll see you next time.
See you next time.